Senator Sinema.
Oh, thank you, Chair, and thank you to the witnesses for joining us today. When thinking about the aviation industry, safety must always remain our most important priority and the ultimate focus of our efforts. Rewarding aviation careers are essential to ensure continued American leadership on aviation safety. That's why I chaired an aviation subcommittee field hearing in Goodyear, Arizona last May to explore how to develop the pipeline for 21st century aviation careers. The issues we explored nearly a year ago in sunny Arizona are key questions for Congress as the aviation economy rapidly expands and modernizes. Now, the statistics are staggering and worth repeating. 94% of pilots are male and 93% are white, but that's not the whole story. Less than 3% of aviation mechanics are women, and there's been less than a 1% change in the rate of women serving in these roles over recent decades. In fact, it's estimated that less than 20% of all aviation-related jobs are held by women. Now, I was excited that the Aviate Academy in Goodyear, Arizona, has the goal to have more than half of their class be women or people of color. Congress has taken steps to address this challenge, including establishing the Women in Aviation Advisory Board in the Federal Aviation Administration reauthorization in 2018. But clearly, more must be done. So I have two questions for Dr. Ludi. First, where do you see Congress having the greatest ability to help reach women and other traditionally underrepresented communities in the aviation space? And second, are there particular federal legislative programs, whether in aviation or otherwise, that Congress has passed that could serve as models or be expanded to help these populations enter the aviation workforce?
Yes, thank you for that. I will say to your first question, what can be done? Certainly, again, I think, as you mentioned, that more work has to be done in this area. So establishing that permanent advisory committee will allow us to continue that work, or allow the committee, I should say, to continue that work and focus on getting those recommendations implemented to address the gaps in representation in aviation. In terms of examples for Congress and what they can do, certainly funding. We're going to say it again because it's such a key issue. But cost of training is absolutely a barrier. And so work that can be done to enhance access to financial aid and assistance for flight training costs is certainly going to help make a dent and assist us. So cost is a big part of the issue. Other examples of workforce development grants. I think, again, continuing, extending, expanding those grants so that we can continue to do the outreach and other good work that needs to be done. And all of those areas are recommendations within the advisory board report. So we would encourage Congress to enact those recommendations.
Thank you. As many of you pointed out in your testimony, it's no secret that individuals face considerable challenges due to the high costs of aviation education and training. The host of our hearing last year on the aviation workforce, United Aviate Academy in Goodyear, is the first flight school wholly owned by a major airline. We were able to learn about some of their innovative techniques like public and private partnerships that they're using to financially support aviation training, particularly for those with the most need. I know that other carriers like Alaska and American are also working to lessen pilot and other training costs through initiatives and partnerships. So Ms. Von Muhlen, has Alaska been successful in cutting the cost of pilot training, and what have you found to be the most effective strategy to address these costs?
Thank you for the question, Senator. Alaska has invested in the Ascend Pilot Academy to provide financial assistance, mentorship, and in fact, a career path to becoming a pilot. We've also invested in the True North Pilot Development Program, which in fact our pilots came up with to suggest and start a pilot development program for students in an HBCU colleges. One is Delaware State and the other is the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, where we provide, again, financial support and mentorship to folks to become pilots. Those outreach programs, those financial support programs to traditionally less represented communities are critical to reach the numbers in workforce growth that we will need looking forward as our workforce ages and we expect to continue to grow.
Well, thank you. You know, there's a range of opinion about pilot supply in the aviation labor market more broadly. Some have argued there's a shortage, while others disagree strongly with that. I want to take a broader perspective. Public and private studies all raise key questions around attrition, the impact of technology, and the availability of qualified labor. So Captain Ambrosi and then Ms. Von Meulen, what are your perspectives on the long-term outlook for pilot demand and whether we're prepared to meet it?
Well, thank you, Senator, for the question. We're meeting the demand right now. There's a lot of talk around a pilot shortage. Airlines make decisions to support to fly to markets based on economics. You'll see some of the major airlines in our country have said that they're going to do away with the 50-seat RJ. So there's numbers about how many RJs are parked or small airplanes are parked out there, and it's because of a pilot shortage. Well, those airplanes aren't coming back. They will make a decision to serve a market based on its profitability, as they are for-profit businesses. ALPA completely supports working with Congress on improving essential air service funding to make sure that these markets do it. The point is that special interests would like to make an argument that we should roll back pilot training and safety requirements in order to make our costs cheaper in order to serve those smaller markets. I will tell you that passengers in those markets deserve the same level of safety, regardless of how big their city is, as anybody that flies out of a major city. So we absolutely are opposed to rolling back. Pilots are in the pipeline. We're in a training backlog, but we're getting caught up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, for the question. At Alaska Airlines, we're back to our 2019 levels of flying currently. The problem is a long-term problem because the lead time to becoming a captain at a regional carrier and then a captain at a mainline carrier is so long, in years. 2.5 years to become a captain at a regional carrier once you're hired there as a first officer, and then a similar, if not longer, time frame for mainline carrier. Just to be clear, the pinch point is at regional carriers. And so being ahead of this workforce problem and working ahead because of the long lead time is actually absolutely critical, and I'm glad we're discussing it today.